So this is going to be hopefully a quick, short, informational / correction video on KastKing's latest flagship baitcaster, the MGTI Elite. Now if you watched the on the water casting video, you'll know I was impressed with not only the casting distance of the MGTI for having such a small 30mm spool, but I really was impressed by the casting feel and characteristics. Now just an FYI, I actually could have cast it probably about 10 foot further if I used a softer rod and I was standing on solid ground, but oh well. Now of course, casting performance as well as casting feel and characteristics for every single reel is going to boil down to two things: the spool and the braking system. And we're going to do a deep dive into KastKing's HAIBO Vortex brake system, which I mistakenly said was a static system in the unboxing video, but it's actually a dynamic system. Now that makes total sense that it's a dynamic system, because why would KastKing put a static system in their top of the line baitcaster? So let's get into it. Alright, so in order to access the brakes, of course you gotta flip that latch, you gotta take the spool out, and of course, since KastKing is using an exotic aerospace material for their spool in the form of titanium, it is going to be super light. But you'll see that they have an aluminum plate glued into the side. Alright, now before I show you how these brakes really work, let me give you some examples of how SHIMANO and DAIWA do dynamic magnetic braking. Now with DAIWA, the dynamic part of their MagForce system is going to be this rotor inductor cup. And depending on what form of MagForce they use, this cup will always move in and out. And some of them twist in and out, like so. But it's always moving, which changes the, I guess, magnetic strength during the cast. Now with SHIMANO, the dynamic part of their magnetic brake system, which is found only in their bait finesse reels, is going to be the magnets themselves. So you got one bank of magnets here and one over here, and each bank of magnets is spring loaded on one side. So during the cast, these magnets move closer to the spool and then they back off as the spool slows down. And KastKing actually copied this system for their bait finesse reels because it's a very effective system for BFS, because it allows the spool to be as light as it can. Okay, so let's go into KastKing's HAIBO Vortex system, and it's kind of hard to show you guys since the side plate is attached, but right here you have this ring that has the white graphics on it, and that ring has magnets inside, and the magnets go all the way around. So they're all the way around the circumference of this ring. Now on a lot of typical mag track systems, like you'll see with GARCIA and LEWS, the magnets will be only on one side. And this, I guess you would call it a radial arrangement of magnets. It's probably one of the reasons why this reel casts like it does. Now let me show you the dynamic part. Now of course, you have this external dial, which is right now set to 0. And if you pay attention to the ring that has the graphics on it, I'm going to crank the dial all the way to 10 and you should see that ring move out. There you go. So it moved out probably almost a millimeter. Now that's not a lot of travel, but then again it doesn't have to be. Now turning the dial isn't actually the dynamic part. The dynamic part is this. Now if you look at the graphics, they seem to be pointing one way. So this dial, hopefully I can show you guys, actually moves. Alright, so pay attention right here. Doesn't move a lot, probably 1/4 of a millimeter, but during the initial part of the cast, when the spool is spinning the strongest, this dial with the magnets extends out, and then when the spool slows down, it pops back in. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there. Now, does this really make a difference? Honestly, does any dynamic magnetic system make a noticeable difference out on the water? And I'm gonna say probably yes. And I'll explain why. Now, with most static magnetic brake systems, with the most popular being the MagTrax that you'll find on entry-level and some mid-level reels from companies like GARCIA, LEWS, and whatnot, the range of adjustment on the braking system is going to be extremely limited. So let's say this was a static MagTrax system. You could probably only do 4 or 5 clicks on the brakes before the spool would start to blow up. Now on this MGTI Elite, as well as some other dynamic magnetic systems, I can dive way deeper into the brakes. And I think during the casting video, I was able to go as low as like 4.5. And that also is what contributes to the very unmagnetic type casting feel of the MGTI Elite. In the lower brake settings, the MGTI Elite casted like a reel with centrifugal brakes, meaning you don't get that sudden parachute effect at the tail end of the cast that chokes off the distance. Plus, you can do low trajectory line drive cast with this type of brake system. So basically, it's a very free casting reel that will satisfy more advanced baitcaster users, but it's also going to be very beginner friendly. So yeah, that's KastKing's new Halo Vortex braking system in a nutshell. My apologies to KastKing for originally stating it was a static system. It turns out that it is a dynamic system, and a pretty damn good one. Now, if you were impressed with what you saw with the MGTI Elite, KastKing has given me a promo code that I'm going to pin at the top of the comments, as well as a link where you can apply that code to get your reel. Alright guys, thanks a lot.